Crisis continues to strain first-time buyers or baby boomers looking to downgrade. The Trump administration is floating some new ideas, like portable mortgages. A portable mortgage is just what it sounds like, being able to take the mortgage rate with you if you move, or allowing.
I'll say the administration, they're bringing out all the tools, all the tricks in the bag, trying to help the problem. We are in an affordable housing crisis. I'll say it again. We are in the midst of a affordable housing crisis. And we last week we talked about 50-year mortgages. This week we're talking about portable mortgages that you can take around with you. So let's see how we're gonna be able to take our mortgage from house to house with us as we move.
Buyers to assume the mortgage rate the previous homeowners had on the home.
So what you're trying to address here, obviously, is people who are able to refinance at some point in time and were able to get a very low interest rate around that 3%, and now maybe want to move or need to move, but are just really hesitating doing so because their new mortgage may likely carry an interest rate, especially for a 30-year, somewhere between 6 and 7%.
Jennifer Sundstrom with the Realtors Association of Northeast Wisconsin says
I'll stop it there. So essentially, they're saying instead of you moving, selling your house, and that's going to be the other interesting part with the difference in the house price that you're selling at. But it sounds like they're proposing where if you have a 3% interest rate on your house and you move, that the buyer can assume that 3% rate. Now, how do they may look at because I know that's one of the things with VA loans right now, they're assumable. If you're a veteran, you can assume another person's VA loan, and there are banks out there that would provide the gap funding. So, say you assume someone's $500,000 mortgage, but the house is they're selling the house for 700,000. They still owe 500,000 on their house. You assume that 500,000 at a 3.5% rate. There's banks that will give you the other 200,000 to make up the full purchase price of 700,000, and that 200,000 would be at today's interest rate. So that's happening already right now with assumable mortgages. But this is interesting, where essentially you're going. I guess they can do that for FHA conventional loans. That I guess the government can make a mandate, like, hey, yep, you can take on that paper or that debt, and with the existing low rates. Because I know right now that was one of the driving factors for me. I'm like, I was in a great area in Northern Virginia, and I had a 2.65 interest rate on my house that I bought was a foreclosure and crazy equity over the 4 years after COVID. It's like I'm not moving. I'm retiring. I'm getting out. We're gonna roll with it and figure it out because it doesn't make sense. I'm not renting out a 5,400 square foot house to as a rental property, and yeah, why move to another area, stay for 2 years, then retire? And so for me, it made sense to move, but definitely the interest rate was a factor in me moving and selling. So I get it.
there's not really a negative to the idea of assumable or portable mortgages,
But how many lenders are going to be willing to do that is really the tricky part in all of this.
earlier this week, the Trump administration also floated the idea of 50-year mortgages. While those or portable mortgages may open doors for some, Sundstrom says the real solution is increasing
Looks like a
supply.
block in
The
Detroit,
federal
Michigan.
government can do things and the state government is
Definitely
doing
gonna need it.
things, but at the end of the day, 80% of it comes down to our local communities that decide what we do or do not build and how fast we do it and have a big impact on the cost of that housing.
And many local
That's true because at the end of the day, I always say it that real estate is local, local, local. Like all the national numbers in regards to transactions and where interest rates are, and a lot of that, you got to look and see where's the inventory in your market, how many days on market is on average, how much new construction is coming to the market, and are there new jobs coming in? Like if you start following those four metrics, you'll really get a pulse for what's happening in your market. And so the government can do all these different things and tricks in the bag. The thing is, like, wages have to come up or prices have to come down, or people aren't going to be able to afford to live in these places at the end of the day. So I think this is really getting after the problem. They're trying their best to get after the problem, but at the end of the day, people are going to have to be motivated to sell. And if they're motivated to sell, they'll reduce the prices in order for a buyer to come in that wants to pay that price. Simple as that. And I know right now you got the DR Horns, the Lennars. they're playing with the interest rates, and they're being able to lock in 7-year arms at super low interest rates, sub 5%, in order to artificially keep housing prices at a high level. Where if you come in with your financing, you may pay 500,000. You're gonna pay 500,000 with your financing, and or you can take their interest rate financing in place at 4%, and they'll sell the house for 550,000. They'll mark it up 50,000 to give you the interest rate that's lower. So they're playing that game where house prices will easily be $40,000-$50,000 cheaper if they weren't artificially lowering the interest rates with the in-house financing. So that's something to look at. But we got a tough problem right now being able to buy real estate that needs repairs, that needs renovating, is the name of the game right now. Finding properties that you can force appreciation and build equity in for day one is the name of the game, and what everyone should be looking to do. Because just going out and buying a house right now at the top of the market where these interest rates are for the average home buyer doesn't make sense. We're over a 40-year high in unaffordability with housing, and so you need to make wise decisions. I was talking this week with someone, I'm like, for the average American, it doesn't make sense to buy and own real estate right now. You should rent. You should rent, save your money, and invest. At the end of the day, that's what you should be doing right now, and not looking to buy a home.
Communities are taking these steps. The city of Green Bay is expected to soon pass a portion of the 2050
Green
comprehensive
Bay,
plan, which will help
Wisconsin. Okay.
increase housing supply through the modernization of
Close to
zoning.
Michigan.
Increased density, which means smaller lots, being able to do more types of residential construction, not just large detached single-family homes, and then allowing different types of housing in more zoning districts.
So while the Trump administration's fresh ideas don't solve the root of the problem, Sundstrom says there's still welcome tools in the toolbox. In Green Bay, Marlo Lundak.
Yeah, no, that was a good rundown. I think at the end of the day, you have to really look at what's the best interest for you. The government isn't going to figure this out. They talk about 80% of this at the local level. 100% of it deals with you and what you're trying to achieve with buying a home. And if you're not going to live in that home for more than 7 years, it probably doesn't make sense to own right now, especially when you look at the 50-year mortgage. You go back and check out one of my videos earlier this week in my $1,000,000 coffee hour. I did a presentation and broke down the 50-year versus the 30-year mortgage on a $500,000 house. And it's startling. You build at the end of 7 years, you have over 3x amount of equity in a 30-year mortgage property versus 50-year mortgage. It's a shame. Like that doesn't work from anybody, and you're only saving $155 a month. You should figure out your finances. If you can't find $155, then you probably shouldn't be buying a house. And just sit on the sidelines, rent, save money, and put that money in the market and let that money grow. Because when you look at just the long-term compounding interest in the market and over time, that you're going to be well off long term versus just force feeding all this interest to the bank, and the bank's getting rich off you. So just really want to definitely break down that video today on pros and cons of portable mortgages. We'll see where it goes, but at the end of the day, no one cares about you and your wealth building ability more than you do. So make sure that you are making decisions in the right way that are ultimately serving you, regardless of whether you can get a 50-year mortgage or you can go and take a portable mortgage. Make sure that you are informed and making the best decisions for you and your house. So make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Let's go.